Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, this morning here in Australia and evening over in Canada and the United States. So welcome. And tonight we're going to have a little chat with this incredible gentleman here, Alan Ogden, who is the guru behind getting Visi's immunity off the ground this week. So really excited and honored to get to have this conversation with you, Alan, and just share with the world why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we having this conversation? For people who know nothing, haven't heard about hydrolyzed collagen protein or glutathione, why do we need to have this conversation today?
So how about if I tell you a story? You like stories?
Awesome. Okay. I love stories. I love stories.
So actually, so the story I'm going to tell you about, I know that you titled this Smart Aging or Aging Smart or something like that. And so, ultimately at least over in North America, I'm sure it's the same in Australia, people have begun to understand that we are going to get older no matter what we do. And so, really the goal is to age smart and, do as much as you can to keep the process controlled so that you're not suffering from some kind of chronic illness. So what I'd like to do today is just talk about, let's go back to somebody who decides they're going to have a child. That's one of the things that I worked on. A doctor and I did a program for 4 years together where we would design a nutrition plan for gals that wanted to get pregnant. So they would go on this nutrition plan, they would stay on it during pregnancy, then they would have the child, and then we would keep them on as long as they were breastfeeding. Okay. And our goal in doing that was the area that I lived in at the time had the highest infantile asthma rate in North America. And so our goal was to see if there's something that we could do as healthcare professionals that would impact that. That's a really tragic thing. When you have a little infant that's having to have, inhalation therapy, it's really difficult, uncomfortable. So I'm happy to tell you that we discovered through this process, and I didn't understand it as clearly then as I do now, and I'm going to explain it clearly now, what role nutrition actually played in what we were doing. So if we think about the development of, a child, we think about the development of a fetus, and we think about what needs to happen. And so while a child is developing, essentially we're building the structure of the human that's going to exist. And we're collagen protein. We're just collagen protein machines. We need amino acids for everything. Amino acids are the basis for hormones. They're the basis for neurotransmitters. They're literally the basis for life is the amino acids and the content of amino acids. So a child really doesn't develop their immunity in vitro or in mom. It waits, and the real development of the immunity comes within the first 8 hours after birth. So up until that time, the child is essentially living off the mom's immune system. This is really critical to understand. So if the mom is really stressed or really challenged, we already know that those children can be affected. So they could come out of the room already addicted to drugs. For instance, in our area, we have a big challenge with that. Or they could come out with fetal alcohol syndrome, or something that is we think is maybe preventable if the right nutrition and the right lifestyle was applied to that. And so we're collagen building machines, and all through our infant years, our toddler years, our growing years, teens, right up until the time that we reach our whatever is going to be our mature height, and basically our bone structure as it's going to be as an adult. The goal of the cells really in our body is to produce collagen protein. So we're building the structure of this human that's going to last for some period of time. We don't really know. So One of the things that I love about this is, the doctor that I was working with at the time, we started giving people free-form amino acids back then. Once again, not really having a formative grip on, we need to give them the essential amino acids to build collagen. We didn't know that, but we knew they needed amino acids in the general concept of, we're building a human. Humans are built out of amino acids, right? So it kind of makes sense. And then, of course, we had very little knowledge at the time about what really makes up an infant's immune system. So how does that happen? And of course, we know that once the child is born, it actually has very poor immunity. As the cord is cut, it loses that. And in that first 8 hours of breastfeeding, the mom is going to give it globulins, lactoferrins, all sorts of things that the child is going to take then. And out of that, it's going to construct the strength of its immune system. So if any of that's missing in the mom, or for instance, if the mom doesn't breastfeed, then we give colostrum in the hospital, because in colostrum are lactoferrins, globulins, essentially the things to build the immune system are in the colostrum. Colostrum, if you get really, really good colostrum, it's very expensive, about $9.50 an ounce to have immuno supportive colostrum. So that's why you don't see it in the market. Some people say, well, why don't we just take colostrum? It's extremely expensive. Is why you don't see it and you don't take it. So let's just pretend now we have this we have the formative year, we have the formative 9 months, we have this infant, and the mom has given it really adequate nutrition. Take over. Now we're running our own immune system. So from then on in, it's up to us. Well, one of the things about children, if you look at the diet of children, they just don't eat much protein. Protein is very difficult. Meat's difficult to chew. To most children, meat doesn't taste really good. So here they are. They're still in those formative years. They need the essential amino acids to build structure still. And where are they going to get them? And that's what I love about ProVita. Little kids can take ProVita. They love ProVita. Yes, and they love it. Why do they love it so much? Because it's exactly what their body's looking for. Now, there's no logic in a child that says to that child, run over there, grab that bag, and eat those things, right? That's all an intuitive response. That's all that child's body saying to them, hey, you know what? We need protein. That's protein. Go get that protein. And that's exactly, kids go crazy for it. Of course they do. They love it. And it's so good for them. And so we have the collagen protein. We have the amino acids for them to build structure. So it's so critical. I love it to see people who are giving their kids the ProVita. 1 or 2 a day makes a tremendous difference. Yes, 1 or 2 ProVita a day makes a tremendous difference. Here's why it makes a difference. The amino acids in ProVita, the arginine specifically, that amino acid builds nitric oxide in the body. And nitric oxide allows for the body to make protein. So you're taking the amino acids, but we're giving them extra arginine to extend what's called the nitric oxide cycle, or the life of nitric oxide in their body, so they can build other proteins. So not just structural proteins, but all the other proteins that we need, neurotransmitters, all the other things that we need. So protein is essential for children. Now I'm going to go to the opposite end of the spectrum. In 2013, there was a study done here in Canada. The results were released in 2013. So the study was actually started 5 years before that, maybe 6 years before that. Usually takes them about a year to collate the results. And they looked at all of the diseases that we get afflicted with when we age. So diabetes, cardiovascular disease, dementias, all the things that we see in people. When type 2 diabetes come along, our heart disease, all that kind of stuff. So they looked at these things over a 5-year period of time, and essentially they came back and said there's 60 of those. I'm not going to list them all, but 60 very common diseases that we have so far attributed to a lack of immune function, or some, difficulty with some organ failure or whatever in our body. And they came back and said, that's not right. Actually, those are the signs of protein deficiency. So here we have the child. We know it needs protein to build structure. Now we can look at the elderly and say, wow, when we don't continue giving good proteins throughout our lifetime, that's one of the reasons why we have cardiovascular disease, we have diabetes, we have these things. So think about, 70,000 miles in our body of cardiovascular system is all made of collagen. 22 feet of intestinal tract, all made of collagen. Our organs essentially are all made of collagen. So no matter what we have, if it's diabetes, cardiovascular, whatever, we need protein. We need that protein throughout our life. That's what the study's telling us, is that we're not eating enough protein. Now people say to me, well, Alan, I eat lots of meat, or and that's cool, but it's the ratio, it's the type of amino acids that you need. And there was an article just recently in Oxygen magazine, which is a very popular magazine over here, collagen protein, the new superfood. I find that kind of funny in a sense because, medicinally, we were using collagen protein. Anybody that would have surgery years ago, joint surgery, intestinal tract surgery, any kind of surgery, cardiovascular, we would give them collagen protein in the hospital because it's reparative. It's so reparative. So I'm just going to say that it's kind of imperative that we get collagen protein into our body. And, with the Provita, which is my favorite one, it's got all 20 amino acids in it. Tryptophan is added to the Provita. It's really convenient. You can carry it. You can chew it. You can suck it. You can make it into tea. It's practically indestructible as far as that goes. So, getting it in chocolate or lingonberry, or if you were lucky enough to get some orange, it's really awesome. And I've had people say to me, well, I'm going to just buy a jug of collagen protein and just use that. And then about a month later, they come back and say, you know what? And my oldest brother is one of these. And he said, you know what? Here's two things. One is I find that with a big jug of collagen protein, I'm not taking it daily because I'm not thinking about it. I can't take it with me. It's not transportable. It's not, I can throw this in my truck. I can take it wherever I go. And I'm just not getting my collagen like I used to. So, the convenience, the composition with the AC2 technology just makes that a really unique product. And it's very, very good for us. I hope so, because I ate 6 last night before I went to bed. So I hope it's good for me. So that's the structural part. I'm just going to, I know you want to ask me some questions, but just hang on.
I just wanted to clarify AC2 technology, just for people who don't know what that is. Why do we need those ingredients those nutrients that are in the cloudberry and the lingonberry with our collagen protein? Why is that important with what Visi has done?
Well, to build collagen in your body, and there's 28 identifiable types of collagen, of which 5 are most prominent in our body. But there are other collagens. When we have any damage to any tissue, or when we're building any tissue, our body sends an inflammatory. That doesn't really matter. If you cut yourself, we know there's inflammation. There's a little redness. Well, even internally, there's always a slight inflammatory response to get blood flow to an area that needs repair. So if you have arthritis, or if you have, let's just think about diabetes. Diabetes, you've got a very inflamed pancreas, right? Yeah. And so to repair these things requires vitamin C. So in the Arctic cloudberry is one of the richest berries on the planet for vitamin C. Lingonberry has natural omegas in it, and omega fatty acids themselves are naturally anti-inflammatory. They're just, they're useful everywhere. We need omegas to actually absorb amino acids to get them into our body in the first place. So the AC2 technology is important from that point, as it gives us supporting cast of nutrients to make sure that you're getting the benefits of the amino acids that are in the collagen protein. So that's cool. So now we have this little child, and Dr. Ben Johnson, I'm a big fan of, one of the very first doctors to ever, and this is years ago, he was at a big medical conference and he said, listen, you know, with everything we know and how smart we are and all the drugs and surgery and techniques we have, it's up to people's immune system whether they stay on the planet or not. I mean, it's just that simple, right? There's so much we can do, and there's only so much we can do. And the challenge with using medicine is the fact that most medicines have a addictive effect to what we're doing. So, in other words, when you're taking blood sugar medicine to control your blood sugar, those medicines over time actually decrease your body's ability to use the sugar. And so you get into this sort of never-ending cycle of needing an increase in medicine to control the condition, which causes further damage, you know what I'm saying? So it's just this continuous cycle of negativity. If we're taking ibuprofen or what do they call it in Australia? You have the name. Okay.
Nothing. Yeah.
If you're taking that to ease the pain in your joints, the part we don't talk about is the fact that that particular drug takes apart collagen in your body. So here you are taking it to ease the pain of your joint while it's taking your joint apart.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, we have this challenge with medicine. While medicine is really beneficial in a lot of instances, then there's this long-term thing going on in our body where it becomes counterproductive to running our body, which is why I love what we're doing in Aging Smart, where we're giving, you know, amino acids and we're giving things to help the body keep itself running as efficiently and effectively as it can. So the next thing is our immune system. Well, none of us know really what we got from our parents. You know, we don't know. But I know when I was born, I had a lot of allergies. I was allergic to practically everything under the sun. I was allergic to milk. I was allergic to all sorts of things. So obviously compromised immune system, right? So how many kids do we know that have allergies? How many kids do we know that are always run down? How many kids do we know that are always getting a cold, flu, cough, this, that, or whatever? And part of that is lifestyle. Part of it's just the stress of being a kid. But part of it is the fact that our immune system is, you know, we start from behind the 8 ball on our immune system and we're trying to catch up at some point. And then, you know, we go to school and there's, you know, that's the best place to spread bugs on the planet. Next to a hospital is a school.
Yeah.
So our immune system is, you know, we're constantly being challenged as a child because, you know, we leave our home, we go to school. We leave school, we go to college. We leave college, we go to work. Our environment continues to change all the time. And with that change of environment, it requires a change in our immune system. And this is why I believe, personally, glutathione is going to be the supplement that everyone takes. Yeah. Number one, we don't know what the level of immunity that we were born with. Now, going back to our geriatric population, geriatric studies, we know that people who are centenarians, people that live 100 years or older, when we look at them, we know that they have glutathione levels of a 30 or 40-year-old. I mean, the evidence is absolutely indisputable that glutathione is the anti-aging molecule. There is nothing else. There's no little yellow pill that you can take. There's nothing else. You've got to build your glutathione. And that's exactly what we're doing with immunity, is we're giving the basic amino acids that your body can take. And as you consistently take those amino acids over time, your body can build glutathione. Yeah. And your body's constantly being challenged. It's going to be challenged tonight or tomorrow. You guys are having a Saturday over there. You are going to go somewhere. Yeah. And your immune system. Now, the really cool thing is when your immune system's operating as it should, you don't know that you're challenged because your immune system takes care of it. Right? We only know when, we got a cold, a flu, or we got, you know, we don't feel good, a headache, this, that, whatever. Oh man, you know, obviously I was challenged and I didn't. But we do know over time because we see people start to develop symptomatic diseases. So we see people start to develop diabetes. What is diabetes? Diabetes is an insensitivity of the muscle tissue to insulin in your body. right? So we now know from studies that if we take chromium and glutathione, we can actually reinvigorate some of those receptor sites, open them again, so your body can actually use sugar, use the insulin to get sugar inside the cell. So, we can lower the blood glucose level. So there's a lot of things we now know, and it's a result of the fact that in the last 20 to 25 years, and it's interesting because if you and I made a discovery today that was was just like, wow, something that's just so groundbreaking that, it would take our breath away, it would take approximately 20 years for that information to become common knowledge in the field of knowledge. Even though it's groundbreaking, that's why we're talking about something that was developed 25 years ago, discovered, proven, It takes that long for it to creep its way into the general population where people can have intelligent conversations about it, ask questions, and get the information. So we're at the 25-year point. We're at the point now where glutathione, and this is my opinion, is going to be the number one supplement because we understand how important it is for everyone from infancy to old age. How do we know that? Well, if you're going to live 100, you're going to have high glutathione levels. And if you don't have high glutathione levels, somewhere along the way, you're going to have some kind of chronic illness. It's just a fact of life. We don't know what that's going to be. People will say to me, well, Alan, diabetes runs in my family. No, it doesn't. No such thing. It's in my genes. No, it's not. That is a myth. I just want to put that out there. I have had people say to me, well, cancer runs my family. No, that's a myth. Lifestyle runs in your family. Lifestyle choices run in your family. So the chance of you getting a particular disease is very common because of the lifestyle choices. So living a similar lifestyle to your parents or grandparents or somebody can certainly open up the opportunity for you to have that disease. But there's nothing genetically that says everybody in your family had diabetes, you have to have it too. It's not written into our genetic code. I just want you to know that is not written into our genetic code. We live a lifestyle. We might be predisposed to that, but exactly. We ultimately are the one who flicks the switches. And now we know that when we elevate glutathione, it's a very controversial topic that I'm touching on right now. There's a lot of disagreement currently because it's going to take 20 years, once again, for this information to actually get, kind of get out there and people to realize, I actually am the one who I could have done something about that. You can still do something about it because glutathione controls the NFR2 response, the genetic response to the disease in your body. So optimizing your glutathione increases your ability to fight, to get, to overcome any kind of whatever thing you thought you might be genetically predisposed to. It's going to take lifestyle changes. But I have seen, in the research that I've seen in the last 10 years, we've seen so many situations where people would think that this is something, we're going to be stuck with this the rest of my life. You get the lifestyle changes, you get glutathione, you give them amino acids, you get their diet changed, and all of a sudden, that's no longer, that just doesn't happen for them. So, of
course.
Yeah, that's right? So, that's one of the reasons I love what I do, is because when people come to that point in their life where they go, you know what, I can't trust medicine to do it anymore. I need to take control of my own health. Yeah. And exactly. Ultimately, we all have to come to that point where we need to take control of our own health and say, what do I need to do? What do I need to do, right? Why would I optimize my glutathione? Well, glutathione is your immune system. That's exactly what it is. The molecule of glutathione in your body is your immune system ready to act, right? Ready to detoxify your body from chemicals, ready to fight off predators, bacteria, microorganisms. It controls the oxidative stress in your cells, the natural oxidative stress process that goes on in your cells. That has to happen for you to have energy. So it controls that process so your cells don't burn up and die. Glutathione is your immune system, and when it's active and when it's turned on and doing its thing, then life is just a lot easier. So anyway, I've blabbed a lot. You can ask me. You probably have a couple, 3 questions or whatever.
No, that's fantastic. It's like you have a vision into my notes here, because you covered a lot of different things in a story, which I love telling stories. As a pediatric physio, that's just how I have done things my whole life, actually, since I was little, and I just loved working with kids. It's I think it's just a really easy way to communicate for people to relate to within the story, that there's something that everybody can then connect to. So it's really powerful.
So one of the things I wanted to say, Candace, is, for people that are listening to this for the first time and they don't know anything about glutathione, and that's okay. They've never heard of it or never, and if you go to your doctor right now, he's in the same category as you. He heard about glutathione in second-year medicine. It was covered over in biochem, and he forgot about it because the attitude of the medical profession has been and continues to be, for the most part, it's something you get for your mom. You got it or you didn't. Tough luck, good luck, whatever. It's the way it is. So we have all these different situations arise in our life. People say to me, "Well, will glutathione help?" Yes, glutathione helps in 100 different diseases. Why is that? Because it's your immune system in action. So it doesn't matter if you have. What do you have? Fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, MS, ALS, any of those autoimmune diseases, any of those, lupus, any of those are all an inflammatory process that your body is not controlling. And so glutathione is the root cause of that. But it's so critical now that we know that there's 100 diseases, that there's a petition before the United States, before the FDA in the United States, that raising glutathione, optimizing glutathione, using precursor amino acids should be considered general medical practice. In other words, everybody should be doing it. It's not considered alternative therapy. Awesome. We know that optimizing glutathione does not interfere with medical protocols, except that it may get you off some drugs that you might no longer need. So it's part and parcel. At least we're at that point, 25 years now, where the research people and the people that have been using it are saying, hey, you know what? This is so powerful and so effective. We need to move it out of this sort of mystical category of maybe something will happen into this category of, you know what? I mean, the evidence is clear. Everybody that has the disease has low glutathione. Everybody who's living a long, good life has high glutathione. So, so that's really cool. I think that we're going to see that in a very short period of time, where all of a sudden it's going to be generally accepted medical practice. I actually did in-service here for some doctors, cardiologists actually. We talked about glutathione, coenzyme Q10, which is in immunity as well. We don't have time to go into all the ingredients in immunity today, but then after, when I was doing my practicum in the store, or my update in the store, I would see prescriptions from these cardiologists come in. They'd have the drugs, and on below they would have glutathione and coenzyme Q10. All right, it was kind of cool to see that they got it. Like, this is something that is really critical for these people to start understanding. So when the medical profession starts understanding it, it's really cool. But changes always come from grassroots. Changes come from people going, you know what, I've had enough. I've got to take control. I've got to find the answers myself, which is what I did. It's what you did, what many of the people who would be watching this, they're going, I need a different answer than the one I've been getting. What I've been getting is not giving me the lifestyle that I want. I need a different answer. And here's the really cool thing. I mean, there's nothing here that can do harm. We all take an oath. Hello, medical people. We all take this oath. Do no harm. Nothing could be further from the truth. We do lots of harm. But with this, immunity, probeta, those things, there is no harm. But we can't do any harm. These are amino acids that your body's looking for. It's searching for from your food. We're just giving you those, letting your body do its thing. So we don't cure or treat disease. Your body does that. We just give it the amino acids, and it does its own job.
Exactly.
It's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it's awesome. We just had a couple questions from Genevieve, who's here in Sydney, Australia. Hi, Genevieve.
Hi, Genevieve.
So wanting to just explain a little bit about if we have, with blood tests, if you were to go to your doctor and you were to ask them to measure your glutathione levels, I know you and I have had that conversation before about, how easy is it to actually measure our glutathione levels objectively versus from a symptomatic kind of perspective?
That, unfortunately, it's not very easy. It requires a hospital stay. You can't. You have to do ratios, so you have to actually take blood over a period of time, and then do ratios and do what's called a peroxal test. So you actually take blood, and then you add peroxide to it and see how quickly the cells die. And then there's a scale, depending on how quickly that happens, of the measurement of glutathione. However, the good news is there is currently under development a very, very easy home test that will test glutathione. So we'll see that in the next year or so. It's been patented and it just needs to be produced. So that's really cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. It's like we're getting back the building blocks that our body's missing, that we can then take control, choose how we actually navigate the rest of our life in order to get up off the sidelines and back into life, right? So yep. In a world where we're bombarded by toxins and what we eat and what we drink, again, like you said, from little people up to, our elderly, right? So when I was 40, before you introduced me to ProVita, I felt like I was 70, right? So I feel better now than I have in, 10 or 15 years. And I'm getting older because I'm actually putting back in the building blocks that my body was missing to deal with inflammation. So it's brilliant. I'm really excited to be able to share this and for you to have the opportunity to just share. You have so much knowledge. I was saying to Ellen before we went live that I would love to have a couple hours to really just continue to ask you questions. There's just so much I learned from every time we have a conversation, and you make it really easy to understand from people who aren't medical, who have a sciencey background, right? We could say there's 110,000 articles on glutathione, go on to PubMed, but most people can't read those. You right. Google it and you go, I don't even know what those words mean. Yeah, so you make it really simple for everybody to, just understand why is it important to add these into our diet every day. So. I'll just finish off with this, but I'm very fortunate to work with what I'm going to say is medical risk takers, if I can put it that way. People that are prepared to, like the doctor I worked with in pediatrics and with the children, and we're looking at nutrition, so no harm can be done. We found out, we had 100 babies born in 4 years we didn't have any conditions in those children. It was really beautiful. So, we proved that. So my thing is, there's science and there's all this stuff and whatever, burden of proof. But, when you look at the practicality of what I've been doing in 4 years of practice, and when we look at the results of that, we look at how many people have said to themselves, okay, this isn't working, I'm going to try something else, and they get results. And if there was some way we could have ever captured that and categorized it and put it, we would have a monstrous clinical trial that would just tell you, like, this is just something that you should do. But I'm just so happy that I can talk to people, and I know that if they give this a try, the worst thing that can happen, we can go there, is nothing. Yeah. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. Whereas when I give people drugs, we don't know what the worst thing that can happen is. Right.
Understand what I just said? Like, you go to the doctor, you get a prescription, you go and you take that pill, you have an idea of what it's supposed to do, but you have no idea exactly what it can do. And I've seen people's lives literally ruined by a little pill that wasn't supposed to do that, but it did. Whereas with this, the worst thing that can happen is nothing changes, right?
Right. Yeah.
And the best thing that can happen is something changed. Like, the gentleman on Tuesday that had never heard of glutathione. He just said, look, I'm at the point in my life, I've got fibromyalgia so bad, and the drugs aren't treating it. His very first dose of immunity got him out of bed. And he took three through the day. Get a text from him today, best day I've had in 10 years. Amazing. Where's this stuff been all my life? That's why we do this, right?
Absolutely.
So it's the thing is, we have practical experience. A lot of people will say to me, well, can you give me a clinical, study or this or that? And it's like, no, but I can give you my, 20 years of practical experience and seeing things work and knowing that no one's ever been harmed.
Yeah.
Ever been harmed.
Exactly.
So anyway.
Yeah. So I just see there's two other quick questions. Just if you can unpack a little bit more about just or if you have a testimonial about, for example, MS or also ADHD, specific to kid things. So kids who have ADHD, I know with autism, those kinds of, concussions, things that are really typical with kids, as well as with MS. I know that's kind of two very different questions, but kind of similar.
No, they're not, because they're both, if your child is diagnosed with ADHD, there's an inflammatory reaction going on in their body that's preventing the ultimate, it's preventing the communication. Right? So you have cognition problems, you have connection problems in your brain. And glutathione, at the base, glutathione is responsible for the pathway of connectivity in the brain. So it's not responsible for the neurotransmitters. I don't want to get people confused about that. Yeah. I just want people to understand that the connectivity of your brain is ultimately glutathione's responsibility. So kids with any kind of ADHD, autism, any kind of spectrum, just epilepsy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They see ME there, myalgic encephalomyelitis. Any of those conditions, absolutely, glutathione is essential to their recovery. Not even a question. MS, which is what's called an autoimmune disease. So if I can quickly explain this, when we have an autoimmune disease, if we think of our immune system as being a teeter-totter, any autoimmune disease, so MS, lupus, whatever whatever name we give it, ultimately our immune system has done this. So the teeter-totter is out of whack, right? I don't know if you've ever been on a teeter-totter, somebody keeps you in the air and bounces you around. That's exactly what your immune system is doing. So from a medical perspective, what we try to do is try to bend this that's bothering you down without lifting the other side up. So glutathione comes in and says, well, you're like this, why don't we get you like this again? Right? So glutathione works on both ends of the teeter-totter to balance your immune system out. So the medical system does this, right? Trying to make you feel better, still hasn't done anything about this down here, right? Glutathione comes in and says, no, you actually should be like this. Let's get you like this. So whether it's MS, lupus, any of those. Myalgic encephalomyelitis is a little different because it's inflammation from a virus or a bacterium in your brain, which causes the similar symptoms to MS in your body and fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. But once again, there's an inflammatory response and an immune response required in that. So hopefully that teeter-totter will help people understand.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Again, awesome. Really, really excellent, simple solutions, right? We have a drink sachet that I don't have my immunity here yet. I still have my little green empty sachet, right? But we have a drink that we can put. It's a powder. It tastes great. We can mix it into Jell-O. Everybody from little tiny baby people all the way up to the elderly can take it with no side effects. And your dog, yes, and your dog. And we have the little probitas that can be cut up. They can be sucked on. They can be melted down in tea, hot chocolate. And it's just easy. It's easy to get these essential building blocks of life into people we know and we love. So Yeah. So, well, let's wrap it up on that, and really appreciate all of you guys jumping on here. It's been amazing, again, to just hear behind the scenes on how to really understand this from you, Alan. So, appreciate you taking your time out of your really busy schedule right now to
Have a good
share.
Saturday. Keep, and we'll look forward to getting it from you. A good Saturday.
It'll be awesome. You've got the sunshine today, so.
Bye for now.
Thank you, Alan. Bye.